When you look at a plant, your first thought is probably not, "That thing's gonna kill me." But in some cases, that thing's gonna kill you. Sure, plants can be pretty or delicious, but they've also evolved with all kinds of compounds inside them, and sometimes those compounds don't play well with human biology. Whether it's the seeds, the berries, or the whole darn plant, you're gonna want to stay away from these no matter what. Let's start with dumcane, a common houseplant with a hilarious name, and a particularly gruesome way of injuring people. It's easy to grow and nice to look at, but if you eat any of this stuff, you'll end up with blisters and swelling in your mouth and throat that can make it difficult to breathe or speak, hence the name. You also won't want to get the sap anywhere sensitive, like in your eye, where it can cause similar kinds of damage. The main problem comes from tiny crystals of calcium oxalate, an acid that's a major component of kidney stones. The crystals are shaped like needles, and they'll easily stab through the tissues in your digestive system or eyes like some kind of poisonous acupuncture. Botanists think the needles might also contain enzymes that mess with the proteins in your cells, which help make the swelling and burning worse. The effects can last for up to 2 weeks and can be fatal if the airway gets blocked, though deaths from dumcane are relatively rare. But seriously, why would you keep this plant in your house? Foxglove is another common murder plant that people own for some reason. The plant contains digitoxin, which, you might have guessed from its name, is toxic to humans, although it can be used as a heart medication in smaller doses. Eating foxglove generally leads to fun symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, as well as confusion, hallucinations, and an irregular heartbeat. It can also affect your vision, making things look blurry and yellowish. It's thought that Van Gogh might have been experiencing this during what art historians call his yellow period. It's possible that he was given medicine containing digitoxin to help treat his seizures. Of course, he might have also just really liked the color yellow. Like with dumcane, fatal cases of foxglove poisoning are rare because most people don't go around munching on buckets of this stuff, but it does happen. The pong-pong is a tree native to Southeast Asia and some Pacific islands, about 10 meters tall, and from the outside, it looks pretty normal. But even one seed would be enough to kill you. The tree's seeds contain cerberin, which is similar to digitoxin in the sense that it interferes with normal heart function. It's thankfully not easy to ingest the seeds by accident. They have to be removed from a harder husk first. But people who do end up with cerberin poisoning experience stomach symptoms and changes to their heart rhythm, and often die within a few hours. Another incredibly poisonous plant that affects the human heart: oleander. Pliny the Elder wrote about it way back in the year 77 CE, describing the shrub as deadly to livestock but a cure for snake bites. To be clear, if you ever get bitten by a snake and find some oleander nearby, do not eat the oleander. It doesn't actually work as an antidote to snake venom, and eating it would probably just speed up the whole dying thing. Oleander contains a bunch of different poisonous compounds, but the main one is the appropriately named oleandrin, which once again interferes with the heart's beating and can eventually be fatal, though it usually isn't. Other symptoms include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, plus dizziness, disorientation, and blurred vision. So, again, don't eat oleander. You're better off taking your chances with the snake bite. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a book called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Perhaps you've heard of it. In Harry's very first potions lesson, Snape asks him about the difference between monkshood and wolfsbane. We later find out that they're actually the same plant, also called aconite, which is actually true. But what the books don't mention is that this plant is also incredibly poisonous because of a complicated-looking compound known as aconitine, which interferes with the human heart and brain. Pretty much any horrible symptom you can think of, aconite poisoning causes it. People who eat aconite, especially the roots or tubers, can end up with muscle weakness, tingling, numbness, irregular heartbeat, low blood pressure, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. The poison's often mentioned as a cause of death in ancient writings, and even these days, about 6% of people who are hospitalized with aconite poisoning die. Hemlock is another poisonous plant that's been made famous by ancient writings, including accounts of Socrates' execution, since he was forced to drink a hemlock-based poison. But people have also been poisoned by accident, since hemlock can look a lot like the wild parsnip, celery, and carrot plants. Hemlock contains a few different compounds that make it especially dangerous, but the worst of them is probably coniine, a ring of carbon atoms and one nitrogen atom connected to a chain of carbons. Coniine interferes with the signals between neurons, and the effects are not pretty. The poison causes dizziness and trembling, slows down the heart rate, and eventually can cause paralysis. It can be fatal because the diaphragm, the muscle that helps control breathing, also becomes paralyzed. But generally, if a modern patient can get on a ventilator to help them breathe until the poison wears off, they'll be okay. Socrates, you may have heard, was not so lucky. Probably the easiest plant on this list to ingest by accident is deadly nightshade, because to the untrained eye, its berries might look like blueberries. But eating deadly nightshade is not a good idea. 10 to 20 berries can be enough to kill an adult. There's a reason they call it deadly. The plant contains compounds called atropine and solanine. And sure, atropine is also used as a medication, but not in such high doses, and not in combination with a second deadly poison. These two chemicals attack the human body in all kinds of ways, which is why deadly nightshade is another poison that causes practically every symptom possible. Like, it's not even worth naming them all. Here's a list. Apparently, it is possible to build up a tolerance to the stuff, and history is full of stories of assassins who use their own tolerance to trick their victims into drinking poison. But I wouldn't recommend trying any of these berries at all. Ever. Another berry you're going to want to avoid? The rosary pea. It looks pretty innocent, just a bright red berry on a bush, but it contains one of the most poisonous substances in the world, and there's no antidote. The compound is called abrin, and it's different from all the other poisons we've talked about so far because it's a protein. Abrin is what's known as a ribosome inactivating protein. That means when it gets into a cell, it stops that cell's ribosomes from functioning. The problem is cells need ribosomes because they make proteins, and when they can't make new proteins, cells stop working. The stuff is so potent that just 1/10 of a milligram can kill an adult. The symptoms usually set in within the first day and start with the same gastrointestinal problems we've been talking about: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Eventually, though, the victim gets to look forward to internal bleeding and organ damage, and then, in almost all cases, death. But there are also plants that are so poisonous that people have died merely from drinking the milk of animals that ingested them, in what's known as secondary poisoning. The white snake root is one of those plants. It contains a mix of compounds known as trematol, which gets its name from the trembling it causes. You'd probably need to eat 0.5% to 2% of your body weight to die from eating snake root. And it's just a plain old shrub with small white flowers, so not the kind of plant that most people would just pick up and eat a pound at a time. However, in the 19th century, it caused a huge problem in the American Midwest, where white snake root grows. People were dying, and nobody really knew why. It turned out they were dying because their livestock were eating tons of snake root. Trematol would end up in the animal's milk, and then people would die from drinking it, what they called milk sickness. This is actually how Abraham Lincoln's mother, Nancy Lincoln, died in 1818. Eventually, a doctor named Anna Bixby identified the white snake root as the cause of the milk sickness with the help of a local Shawnee woman. People started removing it from the places where their animals grazed, which is why milk sickness is now pretty much unheard of. The last poisonous plant on our list is sometimes called the little apple of death. Or just the world's most dangerous tree. That's probably an exaggeration, but at the very least, it does cause unbelievable amounts of pain. It's known as the manchineel tree, and not only should you avoid eating it, you shouldn't touch it either, or even go near the thing. You don't have to worry too much though, since it's only found sparingly around the American South, in Central America, and South America. Manchineels contain all kinds of toxins, and we don't even know what they all are yet, but we do know that they cause burning pain and irritation everywhere they touch. The tree, and especially its sap, will make human skin burn and blister even if all you're doing is standing under it in the rain. Just the smoke from burning its wood is enough to blind you. If you tried to actually eat the fruit, you'd experience burning, irritation, and swelling in your mouth, throat, and the rest of your digestive tract. That swelling and irritation can be dangerous all on its own, but deaths from eating manchineel fruits are rare, probably because most people don't keep eating after the first bite. It's also hard to get a hold of in the first place because the tree is endangered. So we don't really know how much manchineel fruit or sap it would take to kill a person, but as with so many of the other plants on this list, we do know that the process wouldn't be pleasant. Thanks for watching this SciShow List Show, brought to you by our patrons on Patreon. If you want to help support the show, just go to patreon.com/scishow, and don't forget to go to youtube.com/scishow and subscribe.
What if I told you there's a common little plant that has amazing healing powers? A plant that can regenerate your liver, protect your kidneys, lower blood sugar, and more. It's called Eclipta prostrata, and today I'll tell you all about this medical wonder and how it can improve your health. Eclipta prostrata, also called false daisy, is an herb that's been used in traditional medicine for thousands of years. But new research is now showing its powerful healing abilities. This plain-looking weed with tiny white flowers can work wonders. If you have a liver problem like hepatitis, cirrhosis, or fatty liver, Eclipta should become your new best friend. Studies show it shields liver cells from damage and stimulates regrowth of liver tissue. The active compound wetalolactone stops liver cells from dying off and reduces scarring. For those with cirrhosis or fibrosis, Eclipta can halt the worsening and allow the liver to repair itself. Research done in India found that rats given a chemical to cause acute liver failure had minimal damage when given Eclipta extract ahead of time. The herb prevented complete disruption of liver enzymes and function. Another study in Korea showed Eclipta could stop the spread of hepatic stellate cells, which cause liver scarring. Simply remarkable. So if you currently take medications that are toxic to your liver, like acetaminophen, NSAIDs, or statins, Eclipta prostrata can protect your liver. It's been traditionally used to treat hepatitis, enlarged liver, jaundice, and other liver disorders. This humble weed is better than prescription meds. But wait, there's more. Eclipta is also excellent for kidney health. Studies show it can prevent acute kidney injury from toxic medications. In one trial, rats given extracts before an injected kidney toxin had normal creatinine and urea levels compared to controls. If you're getting chemotherapy, Eclipta can protect your kidneys from the harmful kidney effects of drugs like cisplatin and doxorubicin. There's nothing worse than needing dialysis because your cancer treatment destroyed your kidneys. Eclipta to the rescue! Let me tell you another incredible use for this herb: controlling diabetes. Animal research found Eclipta lowered blood sugar from 372 to 117 in just days. A human trial showed it reduced fasting glucose by 22% and hemoglobin A1C by 12% in 3 months with minimal side effects. That's better than most diabetic medications. Eclipta's anti-diabetic actions don't stop there. It also protects against diabetic kidney disease. With kidneys and liver covered, along with blood sugar, this is truly an herb for complete diabetes support. The list of approved uses for Eclipta just goes on: antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, wound healing, hair growth, hemorrhoids, uterine bleeding, even malaria. It's earned names like King of Bitters and False Daisy due to its taste and appearance. But I prefer to call it the King of Healing Herbs. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I take this miracle cure? Eclipta is most often brewed into a tea. Just pour boiling water over 1 teaspoon dried leaves or powder and steep for 10 minutes. Drink this daily or as needed. The fresh leaf juice can also be taken. Of course, discuss with your doctor before starting any new herb, especially with liver conditions. Work with an herbalist or naturopath to get the right dosage. Start low and go slow. Listen to your body. Eclipta is very safe when used appropriately. Imagine if improving your health was as simple as sipping tea from a plant growing in your backyard. No more toxic prescription medications or their endless side effects. Just the natural power of nature. Eclipta prostrata shows the power of herbal medicine. We need to remember our roots. We need to reconnect with the earth's healing gifts that have kept us healthy for thousands of years. Put down the pills and pick some Eclipta instead. Your body will thank you. So get out there and find some False Daisy. Let this humble weed work its magic. Brew the tea, spread the word, and help bring herbal medicine back into the mainstream. We can heal ourselves if we just recognize nature's cures. Eclipta prostrata proves that. Now go start your journey to better health.